There was a notable interview that you watched. I haven't watched it, but you should give
Yeah.
our viewers a little insight on what Sha'Carri Richardson's agent said to
Yep.
our colleague out at the track meet. You watched this by like a 4 or 5 minute interview.
Yeah.
What did you think of um, what you learned from? We haven't really heard from Sha'Carri's agent, so why don't you
Yeah.
explain what happened?
Yeah. So Renaldo Nehemiah, who's obviously himself a former track and field standout, played football as well too, manages a lot of track athletes, but doesn't do a ton of media. I can't recall too many interviews I've seen with him, but talked about Richardson's social media, talked about the idea of like kind of like sports fandom in the current era, and also just explained all like working with her and how he had to gain her trust and basically all the things that she needed to learn. And not just her, but he talks about athletes in general in the sport and how a lot of them just go to the track and that's all they know. So they're not aware of all that goes into the sport, which has always been your theory and my theory because you talk to athletes. It's like sometimes track has so much going on and it's so complicated sometimes that I don't blame anybody who's competing in it to just try to shut all that out and be like, all right, I'm just gonna run. Like, and I'll have my coach, I'll have my agent, whoever, figure all that other stuff out. So then when stuff specifics come up, oftentimes they don't know. But he mentioned and towards the end of the interview, like she had never met, I think he said until this weekend, she had never met um or knew who Max Siegel was, the head of USATF. And it sounds like because she sent the tweet out last end of last week leading into New York Grand Prix, um, directed towards USATF that attracted a lot of attention. He said he explained to her, "Hey, you're a member of USATF in the same way an NBA player is a member of the NBA or an NFL player is a member of the NFL." And that's just something that she hadn't understood, like just didn't know. And he said it's not my responsibility to like change her. Like I think he's like that'd be selling her out. Like, but I don't know. I just thought it was interesting because you got really an inside look at sort of the thought process behind someone who's working with her on a daily basis. He said he's on social media just to see what she posts. He's like, otherwise, I would not even be on social media. That's the whole reason I'm on it.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that she didn't understand the structure of how the pro USATF organization works. Obviously,
Yeah.
there are flaws, right? People can talk about ways that the professional side of our sport can be better. We're definitely not at the way it is in other major sports, and that's not what this is about. But understanding like the current system and like
Hmm.
the rules and regulations and what is kosher and what's not kosher within the organization. A lot of that information, like for someone like Sha'Carri coming right out of college as a freshman, like all she knows
Yeah.
is like, hey, I ran high school track, I ran 1 year NCAA, and now I'm
Hmm.
running at Prefontaine Classic. I have a
Hmm.
Nike swoosh on my jersey. This is just what I
Hmm.
do, and no one's really understand. No one's like, there's no orientation for new pro athletes. There's no
Yeah.
combine. There's none of that. There's no draft day for professional track and field athletes. So all this information you have to just figure it out on your own, be told, and that's why you have an agent, I guess, right? And that makes
Yeah.
sense that Sha'Carri was like, "What's with the USATF trying to promote the use my photo and all that stuff?" And now she knows, like, oh, they're you're on that. You
Governing
work
body.
for them. They're your governing
Yeah.
body. You don't work for
In
them,
a way.
but they're
Yeah.
part of the governing body.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, check it out. People should watch it. I just thought it was interesting. It's about 6 minutes.